streaming thing going on.
Oh, oh my goodness. Oh. Woo. Oh my gosh. What the heck?
All right. It's going, I think. Okay. Well, what have you been doing today?
Ooh. Oh
I
my
know
god.
it's 2:40 your time, right?
Good
It's
timing.
yeah, it's 9:44 my time in the morning. So, well, last week, right, we did the Debussy
Oh, nice.
Acte Gradus. You
Wow.
still remember it?
Oh, heck yeah.
Okay. So one of the things we want to do is to obviously we want to learn new material, right? But we also want to be able to play the repertoire that we've learned and to
Wow.
keep retaining it, right? So
Oh
this
my
piece we worked on a couple months ago, and I wanted to see if you still have it. And
oh my
last week we had a very detailed lesson on it. So let's see how much you remember.
woohoo.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. So let's hear it.
Yeah.
Good job. Well done. Well, you got better and better, right, towards the end. So I feel like your fingers got more warmed up, right? So the passage work became actually even better, even though it was more harder, right, towards the end, because it got so fast. So, you know, that's why it's good to do these types of pieces before you start your actual practice session, right? So you can find a piece that you already know pretty well to see if you still know it, right? So and then get your fingers working, right? So in this case, I felt like your passage work got even better towards the end.
Wow.
And also, Kodi, you are always very aware, right, of things. So I noticed that the very first time you forgot the echo thing, right? This- sorry. Right? So I noticed that you noticed, right? So if the very first time I think you forgot, right? There was supposed to be an echo, but then you remember that we had talked about it in the lesson. So then you did something about it, right? So immediately that second one with the flat, I noticed you did the echo. So that was great. Okay. All right. Now, like I said, these 16th notes, it's not easy, right, to play them dead even. So we keep striving for that evenness. Okay. And I think last week, maybe it was last week, your E natural was too short, right? So I said, that it had to be longer. Today, I think it was probably a little bit too long, right? The problem with being too short is that obviously you're cutting that measure short, right? Exactly. But if you do it too long, then it sounds like you forgot what the next part is, right? It then feels like a memory slip, even though I'm sure that's not what happened to you. So just count. 2, 3, 4, time. Okay? So make sure that it's not terribly long. And then the thing about these retenue, right, which is the holdback, right, is again, we can't overdo it. If we overdo it, then it sounds like we forgot the music. So now, right? So it's just a very slight one, especially since that's the first one, right? We don't want to overdo that. The one that you can do quite a bit is that one in the middle, the dreamy part. So this one can be bigger, right? But that first one, I don't think we want to do too big. So because we worked on this so much last time, right? I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I just want to go over the things I noticed. And then, like I said, this one, the retenue, the holdback can be quite a lot. And then play this G as quiet as you possibly can, right? So I was talking, so I think I was a little bit too late, but this G really wants to be the quietest possible because it's such an unexpected note, right? We want to hear C, right? C is what we want. But we are given this G, which is so unexpected, right? And I would definitely soft pedal that, right? Because it's so low, it's very hard to play it quiet. Now, if you play it too loud, it doesn't work, right? So you gotta be so quiet here. Right? And then it finally goes to the C. I guess I could do that a little bit better, so. Right? And then it comes back. There was a weird note some here. I think you play something different there, so just watch. Right? Mi, la, do, mi, re, la, do, re, so, ti, mi, so, la, do, mi, la. I think there was perhaps just a little slip there, okay? And then, yes, your ending is really exciting, right? So this is like the most, I think we talked about how this last part is super virtuosic, right? So the beginning of the piece should sound somewhat like an exercise, right? But then as the piece progresses, the pianist becomes more and more skilled, and by the end of it, it's super virtuosic. Right? Just as fast as you basically can play, okay? And it's just so fun. Okay, so let's do the next piece today, okay? So, because like I said, anybody missed last week's lesson, right? Last week we had a detailed lesson on the first one of the children's corner. So now let's do Jimbo's Lullaby. Now, again, this piece we had learned, right, a few months ago. And then we had a little break, right? So it's been, 3 months maybe since you played it. So I want to see how much you remember, okay? Good job. Good job. All right. So, well, like I said, right, I know it's been a while since we worked on this piece, and you know, you were very busy, of course, with your show, and you just had your new single come out, right?
Oh my
So,
God.
my job is to remind you, right? And my job is to be your eyes, basically, because I can see the score, right? To remind you what the composer's intentions were. But if I had not played this piece for 3 months or so, right? And I never were able to actually see the music, I could not remember as much detail as you have already remembered. Okay, so overall, right, the outline of the piece is still there.
Ah, that's cool.
So this piece is very different from the first one, right? The first one was more focused on technique.
Nice.
Fast fingers, right? Even passage work. There's a little bit of dreamy, romantic bit, right? Expressive bit in that middle part, but most of it is finger work, basically, right? This is completely different. this is not technically very difficult, right? Because first of all, it's a lot slower. There's not that many notes to play, right? So it is not about how fast your fingers can move.
Wow.
What do you think it's about then?
It's so good, huh?
It is good.
Oh my gosh.
What do you think? This one is called Jimbo's Lullaby, right? What is Debussy trying to accomplish? Do you think?
Oh my gosh.
Well, obviously the inspiration is this stuffed animal, right? The stuffed animal that's obviously an elephant, right? Jimbo is an elephant. So it was a stuffed animal that belonged to his daughter, right? So that was the inspiration. Now,
Wow.
the piece, right, explores not facility, right? Not finger technique, but articulation.
Wow.
You know what that word means?
Oh my gosh. I wouldn't need.
Yeah, what does the word articulation mean when it comes to playing the piano?
Oh my gosh. Articulation.
Yeah. And he really explored it in such great detail in this piece. Like, if you play this piece, right, and really think about articulation, then you really have mastered, right, all the different touches that you can possibly have, right?
Wow.
So the easiest, right? I shouldn't say the easiest. I guess the most common, right? Maybe that's a better word. Articulation when it comes to playing the piano is called the legato,
The legato.
right? So the very first line is completely legato.
Completely legato.
About as legato as you can get, right? So very legato. Right? Now, to be able to play completely legato, right? Now, legato means connected. So things are very smooth. Now, most people think, okay, if I want to be legato, then by the time I play the second note, right, I leave the first note that I just played.
Wow.
But in this case, in order to achieve that super legato sound, you actually have to do a slight overlap.
Nice.
You know what that means? That means you're going to let go of the F, which is the note I just played, a little after. So not immediately when you play the D, but like a fraction of a second later. So there's that little bit of an overlap. So in other words, a little sticky, right? Imagine the notes are a little bit sticky, so they are being let go as late as possible without being, what's the word? Without being like this. That's too much, right? So you still want clarity, you see, of each note, but it's not gonna be da da da. It's not gonna be quite as distinct, which is opposite from what we did in that first movement. So these want to be dry, right? So you don't want any of that, right, in that first movement. So you want to be somewhat dry, so that as soon as you play the second note, you better be gone, right? That first note must not stay, right? In fact, it even sounds, right, a little bit broken, right, a little bit detached. But I'm not. I'm still doing it smoothly. But I'm just so sure about lifting my finger after I have played the next note. In this case, right, like I said, it's the complete opposite. You want that really connected sound. And in order to do that, you need a little overlap, okay? So that's the first articulation, which is not too hard, right, to understand. So then, like I said, the whole piece really explores this articulation aspect, and he's really used about as many different types as he can think of. So the next articulation we see in the score is staccato dot and legato curve line. So many people are kind of confused about what to do, right, when they see the staccato dots on the note as well as the curve line, because they're contradictory, right? If you think about it, staccato means short, right? That's staccato. Now, it is not possible to play legato anyway, right, when the notes are the same. So it's not possible. But he did draw a curve line over it. So what does he want? Well, he's trying to tell you to play half staccato.
Wow.
Right? So what's half staccato? Well, not too short, right? So you don't want to be too abrupt. You want to be like, yeah, so it's like half staccato. And then he also says piano with a decrescendo. So you have to make sure that your second one is softer, right? So da 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 da, right? So not the same. Yeah. So it got so much detail, right? So that's why this piece is difficult. Not because of the technical aspect, but because there's so much detailed notation, right? You have to really look at everything he gives you. So that's the second type of articulation that he's exploring, right? And it's up to the pianist to master each of these different types. Okay? And then what do we have? Then we have this bottom one, right? Now this one should be more longer than how you play that. Why? Because it has a staccato dot again, but with a tenuto line.
Nice.
The tenuto line is called what I call the leaning, right? So you lean onto it a little bit. Yep. And then you go back to the legato, right? Exactly. Oh, you better break there, right? So da 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 da. Have a break, start fresh. Break. And again, that's not an option, right? He deliberately restarted the legato phrase, so it has to be a separation. And then here, again, the articulation business, right? So he says this note is to be tied, but there's a staccato and there's a tenuto over it. It's almost like you can't really even do what he says, right? So why does he even bother to draw it? Well, he's telling you that you can go, right? And let the pedal do the tie for you. I think that's his intention, right? So he's saying lean onto this note, but feel free to go away because you're gonna hold your pedal, and both pedals in this case, not just the right pedal, not just the damper pedal, but also the saw pedal. So starting from here, both pedals go down, right? Now, half staccato again, right? And then here's the staccato and the tenuto kind. Every time he has the staccato and tenuto kind, you gotta really lean onto the note, right? Give it a slight more pressure, okay? A slight more emphasis. So, and then, right? And then, so this is the same. And then this is just the just the tenuto. Sorry, I missed this one. My mistake, right? Just the tenuto and staccato, just the tenuto. So the ones with just the tenuto are more emphasized. And then you can let go of the saw pedal here. So just that part, you had two pedals, but once you get to here, the saw pedal is supposed to be gone, right? And then you are supposed to have crescendo here, right? So it's the opposite. Remember, earlier it was decrescendo. So first one louder, second one softer. This one is opposite. Okay? So you gotta make the second one louder. And then this one, he says, okay, finally you can do a true staccato. So far, every time we have a staccato, it's always been combined with something else, either the legato line or the tenuto line. So this one is your first true staccato. So it's got to be very short, right? Now super short, right? And I was actually too loud. He even says pianissimo. So now it's very soft, right? Very soft and very short. And then what is even more tricky, and again, to memorize all of this, I don't know if I could do it anymore, right? I'm too old to memorize things now. But to memorize all these different articulations so you know exactly which one goes with which note, that is not easy, right? So anyway, I'm of course looking at the score, so and then this one definitely not too short, right? You were doing this one way too short. This one has a tenuto, so it's not too short. Yeah. So on this whole first page, like I said, there's only one true staccato. Okay. The rest is either staccato with a tenuto or staccato with a curved line over them. Okay. All right. So And then another thing that was tricky is the different length of the ties and the different length of the rests. Okay, so they are not all the same. Sometimes you would play something after 1 beat of rest, sometimes it's 2 beat. So it's a little random. The whole piece should sound like it's almost like an elephant improvising. So he's not sure, right? Or she, right? Which way they're gonna go, right? So it's not calculated. It's all pretty random, right? But of course, Debussy already figured it out, right? All right, so let's try this whole first page again, okay? I'm gonna play for you first. Okay, well, I could have done better, right? But that's my first attempt anyway. Your turn. Thinking about articulation, okay? Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing that you replicated pretty much exactly how I played. Right? And I hope this shows you, right? That is what is special about playing the piano, right? There's this thing called the touch. It's not just, okay, I played a note, right? But how do I play that note? Right? Do I, the speed, right? How fast the finger goes down, right? And how much pressure, right? That is called the touch, right? So this piece really explores it. So earlier, after I played it, so again, in our lessons, I try to play for you as best as I possibly can. And I said I could have done better, right? Because I did notice that I wasn't quite ready to find this G, right? So I was a little late playing that G. I was aware of it, okay? That's why I say if I do it again, I could do better, right? But guess what? You replicated that, right? So you were also late playing the G because I was late playing the G, right? So it was my bad. I shouldn't be so late. I was just not ready, right? So it wasn't supposed to be that late, right? So we gotta find that G. Da, 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 da. Okay? So I didn't do that well enough for you. But you definitely did better, okay? So if you have a chance to listen to the recording later, right? Notice that this particular time you paid attention to the articulation because you remember what I said, okay? Thank you. Okay, then the next part, right? We have this business. Now, I don't know if you could tell, I emphasized these two notes more, right? Now that's unusual, isn't it? Because typically it should be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be typical. But remember, this elephant is a little sleepy, right? So he's a little lopsided. Yeah. So he's you know, he's putting more weight on the second beat. And why do I know how to do that? Because Debussy gives me a tenuto mark, right, on those two notes. So Debussy says tenuto here. Now that's the first true tenuto. Oh, actually I shouldn't say the first one, because this one was tenuto too, right? Remember earlier we did that? So those were tenuto. So here's another one. Tenuto, tenuto, and then melody. So that part is easy. That part is just basically legato. And of course, bring out the melody. Then it's back to this articulation thing, right? So exactly what do we need to do? Well, he, again, is so detailed. He says tenuto, tenuto with a legato curve line connecting to a staccato. Yet it is tied, right? So it's, again, not really possible to do that tie and that staccato dot justice. So in this case, I would go with the tie, right? So, but listen to the right hand, right? So you gotta be a little bit tenuto on this one. Let's just say play the second one like normal, and then the third one is very short. Okay, so yep. Yep, and you gotta do the crescendo here. Da, 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 da. Now the only way to be able to do that is I pedaled it, right? Because this note, I cannot hold it, right? You're supposed to hold it for 4 beats, but this cannot be sacrificed. This has to be legato. So therefore, I pedal starting from the E flat. Right? And this has to be crescendo too. Right? Okay. Yes, there's a crescendo there. Yeah. Good. Now then it's the opposite. Right? So decrescendo now. You see? Something like that, right? So he has a crescendo and he has decrescendo. So I'll try to do it all justice for you. So the second one was soft, loud, soft, okay? But it should be very dramatic here. Right? I'm sorry, I played wrong note. My mistake. Right? So, but this crescendo is important. Again, it's like remembering which one is which. Right? I get confused myself. So, which one is true staccato? Which one is crescendo? Right? I was a little bit late there. But see, then I realized I could have done this one louder, so I do the decrescendo there. Yes. Right. So it takes a few tries. All right. Then what do we do? Right? Then it starts to become a little bit more complicated. So short, short, tenuto, tenuto, short, short, tenuto, tenuto. Now, that's an interesting sound, right? And then short, short. Now, legato. So these are half staccatos. Half staccatos, tenuto, half staccatos, tenuto, crescendo, half the staccato again, legato. Oh, then I realized, again, I could have done the left hand better because there is a little something going on here. Do you hear it? So it was not all legato, it's 4 in a group. Right? But what's tricky is that the legato starts on the 4th beat of the measure. Right? Right? So each time I play, I realize, oh, I didn't do that. Oh, I could have done that. Oh, I should have also paid attention to that. It's very hard to do exactly everything he says. Okay, but I keep trying, right? And so do you. Do you want to try that part? Do you want to go from this whole page, second page? So I'll do it again.
Wow.
All right, it's your turn. Well done.
Wow.
You got it. Okay. Again,
Wow.
quite amazing, right? How much you have remembered from what I play. And it was probably also that I didn't make it very clear, but remember to have a little separation, right? Every time you play these 4-note figures, okay? All right, and so the elephant is now waking up, okay? So at first the elephant is very sleepy. He could hardly take the next step, right? A little wobbly. So now though, right? Now you see, it's E flat followed by D flat, and then he says turn neutral on those two E flats. So you gotta bring them out, right? So now if there's more movement, the elephant is waking up, right? Do you hear how I bring out that one, right? It's the second time. Yes, and then so here. Now, he says legato. Who can do that, right? Who can play legato from here to here? Not possible. But a little bit of pedal to help us. However, we gotta still do staccato. So you have to discreetly find the pedal at the end of the last 8th note, right? Right here. Press the pedal down. So there's a little connection. And then crescendo, decrescendo, right? Then, right, sorry, no turn neutral there. And yeah, that's much higher. And you can really go to town with this crescendo, right? The elephant is definitely waking up there. And then, right, we have, again, a mixture, right? Tenuto, staccato, tenuto, normal, but all within the curve line, right? And then the left hand is... Now, he says legato, but he also says staccato and tenuto for that first note. So, just this one note has 3 articulation marks. How do you do it, right? It's almost like impossible, right? So he doesn't want a regular legato, no, he wants a little break, a little separation, I believe, right? But a little emphasized, right? chapter again. Okay, so this particular part, right? Let me go from here, right? Bring out the E flat, of course. Bring the E flat out. And then something. Okay? Alright, so your turn. Good. Okay, now again, the notes are not difficult at all, right? It's trying to do justice to everything Debussy took the time to write down. We have tenuto, and then we have staccato, right? So we can't really pedal this measure, I don't think, right? Because then you can't hear the staccato. But I would pedal the first chord, and then I would hold on to the notes with my fingers, and then try to do the staccato there, and then tenuto, staccato, tenuto, legato with a crescendo. So you have to go play the B flat louder, right? And then D crescendo, and then tenuto there, tenuto. Now the note is, so you have G flat, G natural, A flat, right? So it's a little bit of a chromatic there. And again, it's opposite. Crescendo, decrescendo. Okay, so. Right? Okay, your turn, please.
Wow.
That's right. So this one you can hold back. So the elephant is tired again, right? So the first time is same speed as earlier, but hold back. The elephant is getting tired, and slower. Sorry. So it's combining material, right? Because we've heard this melody before. And we've also heard this before. But you gotta do all that in the right hand now. So one finger has to be legato, but the other finger has to be staccato. Again, the articulation business, right? You gotta be so independent in your fingers that you can hold the legato on the top part, but do the tenuto and staccato in the bottom part. I'm doing it slowly, right? To do a better job so you can hear the difference. Do you hear that? Right? It's almost, if I could do it with two hands, right? That would be super easy, but I can't. I have to do it all with one hand. So each finger has its own articulation. And it's all happening at the same time, of course. And then this part is easy. And then you got to do crescendo. So the right hand is different. It's crazy, right? It's hard. Crescendo here. Well, this is the crescendo. Staccato, legato. Now half staccato, so not too short. Oh, I was too long. He says staccato, but I do pedal, but I should have the staccato touch. And then make sure we count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. That's right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. As short as can be.
Wow.
Right? So that final note, he didn't write just the staccato. He drew a staccatissimo. It's like a little pointed arrow thing, right? So I went a little bit faster because we're out of time towards the end. But basically, what I'm trying to say, right, is as you play this piece, really think about articulation, and that's what we can learn from this piece. So that everything we play, right, we think about not just the note, but exactly what kind of touch we want for that note. Okay, so that's definitely the benefit of playing this piece. All right, good to see you, Kodi. You're always such a good student.
Thank you.
I appreciate you spending time with me. All right, I'll see you next time.
Alrighty.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Hi, Maddie.